Did you know that the UFC is a promotional company? Because sometimes I honestly don't think the fighters do. I wanted to bring this up after Ciryl Gane absolutely dropped the ball at UFC Paris yesterday in his post-fight speech. Look, Ciryl Gane put on a masterclass of striking, but we learnt nothing new about him. Like, I covered that pretty clearly in my post-fight night reaction video that I put up yesterday, but I really wanted to get into this part a little bit more, guys. And let me know, what would you do and say if you were a fighter put in this exact situation? All right, look, let's start from the top. The UFC, it's a promotional company, all right? Working with an entertainment company known as ESPN, owned by Disney. The UFC is also owned by a parent company called Endeavor, which owns the WWE, Slap, and a bunch of other extreme sports. And it's pretty clear that those guys, they want to set up their own sporting entertainment app or streaming service once the ESPN deal is done, but that's a whole other thing. We'll get into that later, not in this video. The point that I wanted to bring up, guys, is that we're here selling entertainment, and we're using the sport of mixed martial arts as a vehicle to sell that entertainment and to make money. It's actually shocking to me that I have to explain the basic system of capitalism that we're all living under, but here we are. For some reason, the fighters think that this is like the Olympics, some sort of not-for-profit organization, and everything here is just based on skill and merit. And wouldn't that be a wonderful world? You know, let's see how well the PFL sales are going. You know, they actually tried to do that, just have a system that is based on skill and merit. And it's a very hard thing to sell because you need some drama in there to get the people juicy, to get them wanting a fight. So Ciryl Gane, he puts on another standard win, good win, clean win, nothing against it, but he's in the exact same place he was before this fight started. I mean, we've seen Ciryl Gane in more title fights than we've seen Islam Makhachev in, and he's meant to be like the third best pound-for-pound fighter in the world, or something like that. You know what I mean? Now, Tom Aspinall is an absolute hype machine. He is the future of UK MMA. He just came back from a devastating knee injury, and he cut a promo that you can actually sell and put on ESPN. He said, "I'm going to Paris. I'm going to sit cage side. I'm going to fight the winner. And then I'm going to beat John Jones and become a champion." Something like that. He said something like that. That it was like a 30-second clip, a 5-second clip, whatever, 15 seconds of promotional footage that you can use, and you can put it on ESPN promos across sports bars all across the world. Right, guys, so that is the setup. And then Michael Bisping comes in, says, "We've got an Englishman in the audience right now." And guys, the rivalry between England and France, what we could build here, the pay-per-view that you could build here if Leon Edwards is still champion, if these two are going to clash again, the hype that we could build. And Bisping gives Ciryl Gane the microphone, and it's flat. He just, like, what does he say, really? What does he say? Nothing, really. He thanks the crowd. He promises he's not going anywhere. He invites his mum into the cage to give her a hug, like, not his new rival, not France's biggest enemy since the Napoleonic Wars. He invites his mum into the cage. Like, guys, have you ever seen a clip of European soccer fans? Like, fans in Europe watching soccer, the jumping, the cheering, the flares, how crazy that they can get. Do you remember when the fans were finally allowed back into the arenas when we went back to London? Like, we've had like 2 or 3 UFC Paris events since the pandemic's been over, and it is. We've had 2 or 3 of them since the pandemic's been over, and every single time, the crowd has been crazy. Like, European crowds are crazy, and you've got 2 heavyweight top 5s that are just, the UFC has been bubbling this and just ready to light this match and watch the UFC and MMA just take over Europe. And really, again, when Dana White says that we're coming for soccer, he means that. And these 2 guys are the vehicle for it. And Ciryl Gane is a business partner in that. He is on ESPN in a crowd that is riled up with an Englishman across the road behind fencing. And he says nothing. He delivers nothing. Man, I could hear Chael Sonnen screaming behind me. You know, I could just picture like this. What are you doing, man? And this is one of the things that annoys me to no end when we, the community, talk about fighter pay, right? And how fighters don't get paid enough. They want big money but they just have no personality. They don't build anything up. They need the framework of the entire UFC to turn them into celebrities, to build their hype, to make the average guy, the average sports bar want to watch these fights. The framework of the UFC plus ESPN is why this is still the fastest growing sport in the world. And these guys, they want all the pay and to just go in there and perform like they're at the Olympics, like they're just competing and like a regional sporting event. Like, this is not that. We are not here for that. We are here to make money selling entertaining fights, and you are part of that. You are a business partner in that. And the reason that the UFC is able to make these personalityless fighters, like make them headline events and get entire countries behind them, is because the UFC hoards the profits and builds this entire entertainment framework. The UFC puts the profits into marketing, into sponsorships, into the training facilities all over the world. The UFC PI institutes, the performance institutes, they put them all over the world that young kids can go to and train at and just dream of becoming UFC stars. It's the UFC's profit that allows them to do that and builds the platform for these guys. Gives Nate Diaz a platform to become a celebrity and go on and do celebrity boxing. Your job as a fighter, Ciryl Gane, and every fighter on the roster, is to show up, fight, and be entertaining. You've got a platform on ESPN, and so many fighters do this. They win their fight and they're just like, I want to thank God. I want to thank my team. If it's on a pay-per-view day, on the prelims of a pay-per-view, they're on ESPN and they've got Joe Rogan and a microphone in front of them for 1 minute. Like, what you've got a celebrity like Joe Rogan and you're on television, and Joe Rogan points the microphone at them and goes, "And what's next for you?" And they just go, "Whatever the UFC has planned, man." Like, wow, thank you so much for that. Whatever the UFC has planned. Thank you. That's the thing you're going to say to sell a fight, is it? Kill me. Look, the reason that Conor McGregor, Diaz, Sonnen, Colby Covington, Israel Adesanya, the reason they all get pretty much whatever they want from the UFC is because they work with the UFC. And not only that, by doing this, they're helping themselves. They make money fighting and their fans follow them after their fighting career. Look at Henry Cejudo. No one cares who he was until he put on the cringe. It's disappointing, man. Like, it was such a good moment. There was such a good, lively crowd. And to me, Ciryl Gane just dropped the ball. And the fighters, they consistently keep doing this, and they'll keep doing it. Even if you are a non-English fighter, and I really appreciate it when non-English fighters do this, they just memorize a couple of throwaway lines, just a few things to just say in English, throw it out there and cut a promo. There are some fighters that do that. If I get it, like at the end of a fight, you are exhausted. But Izzy has always got like 10 lines ready to go. Chandler's always got lines ready to go. Sonnen always had lines. Colby's always had lines. Like, you just need a 15-second clip of what you're going to say in your head that you've rehearsed 1,000 times, so that when you are at the end of a grueling 15, 25 minutes, you've won a close decision, you're out of breath, you can just think of someone up the rankings that isn't already booked for a fight and say, that guy is a piece of shit and I can't wait to knock the smile off his face. Anything other than you've got 1 minute with Joe Rogan and you just want to hug your mum. Like, come on, man. Come on. Anyway, guys, they are my thoughts on that whole situation. Let me know down in the comments if you were on ESPN, Joe Rogan has a microphone in your face, you got 1 minute to make a star of yourself, you know you're going to be back on ESPN again in 3 months because you fight often, because that's what you're paid to do. What would you say? Leave it down in the comments. If you've been liking these videos, if you like this video, please give it a like. It really helps grow this channel. And if you want to see more videos like this, click on subscribe, all right? That way, when a new one gets dropped, it's in your homepage, it's ready to go. And as always, guys, thanks so much for watching. I'll see you all in the next one.